Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about kitchen ranges. We'd like to thank Joe Davis for liking and sharing the podcast. So the first ovens were pits dug into the ground.
So that's not really an oven.
Archaeologists say they were ovens dated to around 29,000 BC. I think that's about the farthest back I've gone. And in fact, it was so old, these pits that they were cooking food in, that they found a lot of them with mammoth bones.
Really?
So they're cooking mammoths. And then the first ceramic ovens were dated back to around 3000 BC. And the ancient Egyptians were making portable ovens. So they made them out of clay. And the bottom half, they could put wood in there, or they would dry animal dung to create a fire. And then the top half, they'd put food.
So what was it, like an easy bake oven?
It wouldn't be easy at all back in ancient Egypt. In 1490, the first recorded oven was built in France. And then the first electric oven was...
Like real oven?
Right, was about 1896, but it wasn't practical because most homes till like the 1920s didn't have electric.
That's a bummer.
When you're thinking about purchasing a range for your house, you're usually going to base it on what you have now. So if you're going...
you have to base it on that?
Well, unless you plan on doing remodel. So if you're remodeling your kitchen, then you can decide, hey, I'm going to change my gas to electric or vice versa. But usually if you're just changing the one appliance, you're going to base it on, I have gas, an existing gas range, or I have an electric one, and so it's just easy to put it in. And now I'm either going to slide it in between the cabinets, or if I have an individual cooktop that I'm putting into a hole in the counter.
Right.
So most people are going to purchase a range, which is the combination of a cooktop and an oven below it. And in ranges, the most common style is freestanding. So the sides are finished, so you can put this at the end of a run of cabinets. You can put it in between cabinets. Definitely the easiest to install.
Interesting.
And with the ranges, you can have storage below the oven. You can have a warming drawer. You can get models with two ovens, which is pretty wild. And then the controls are either going to be on the back panel or a backsplash. Or you might have a combination where you have some of the backsplash, some in front right over the oven. And this is usually the least expensive style. You can get a slide-in style, and this is designed to slide between cabinets. So the sides are unfinished, and the cooktop is wider than normal, and it's actually resting on the countertop. So it completely eliminates that gap between the cabinets.
I hate that gap.
Right. Right, so with freestanding, there's always going to be a little room there that food and debris gets caught in and drips down between there. It gives
and that you can never get.
Right, unless you yank the whole thing out. And so this is going to give you a real seamless built-in look, much easier to keep clean, but it's going to be a little more expensive than freestanding, but a lot less than a custom oven. And you can get warming drawers with this, storage drawers, very similar. A lot of the pros said it's great for island peninsulas. And with this style, there's no backsplash or back panel, so the controls are on front right over the oven. And it shows off, if you have nice custom tile or a really beautiful backsplash.
Right.
And then there's a drop-in style. So this is fitting into custom cabinets. The sides aren't finished, and this gives an integrated look. So it's a very high-end look. The oven door can have matching panels to the cabinets,
oh, fancy.
so it just looks seamless. And with most of these, there's going to be no extra storage or warming drawers. They're the most expensive, and they're not going to have a back panel or backsplash either, so you're going to have the controls right over the oven.
Interesting.
If you have a standalone cooktop, you want to make sure that you measure the opening size because they drop it right into your counter. The standard widths are 30 and 36, and again, you're probably going to be matching up gas or electric from what's existing. You can get cooktops for gas with knobs. With electric, you can either have knobs or digital controls now. And then if you don't have an overhead exhaust fan, you can get new cooktops with these downdraft systems.
So like if it's on an island?
Right, or anywhere on your countertop, it has this device that raises up behind it anywhere from 8 to 19 inches, usually about 24 inches wide, and then it has a fan that's drawing in all the steam and grease, and if you're burning something, and it's going to suck it out through ductwork outside.
My cousin has one of these.
It's cool. Have you seen it work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great looking, isn't
like
it?
When
Space
he
age.
bought the house, it's like the first thing. It was like, look at this.
Did he show it everyone?
Yeah.
I got to do a video, man. If you have a standalone cooktop, you're going to have a wall oven usually. So you're going to replace the size that exists if you're not remodeling. The standard sizes are 24, 27, and 30. Wall ovens are usually a little smaller than an average range, usually electric. And in bigger kitchens, a lot of times people will add a wall oven. So if you're remodeling it and you're doing a lot of baking and cooking, it's really nice to have that extra oven. And then with it being on the wall, it's much easier to get to.
You don't have to bend over.
Right, exactly.
Or worry about the cat jumping in there, like I do. Let's talk about the difference between gas and electric ranges.
So a lot of the cooks were saying they really prefer the gas cooktops because the flame makes it easy to judge the heat and then adjust that temperature quickly. And then most of these cooktops are going to work even if the electric goes out. You just have to strike a match. You can use a wide variety of cookware with gas, which there's some differences with electric.
Right.
And then one complaint, though, was with the bakers. They didn't like the variance in temperature with gas ovens.
Really?
So I guess once it gets to temperature, the temperature really drops before the gas comes back on.
It's tough when you need to bake evenly.
Right. So I guess with every other type of cooking, if you're doing meats or whatever in the oven, it really doesn't matter that much. But for bakers, they kind of hated the gas. With electric ranges, it comes with two main types of cooktop. You either have coil or smooth.
Right.
With the coil top, these are exposed heating elements, so you're putting your pots and pans right on top of this element. They're the least expensive. A couple of the complaints were that they heat up and they cool off slowly, and you can have uneven cooking. And then these coils need to be removed for cleaning, but most of them are easy to replace if you have to, if one goes out.
Right. Which I've had both types of electric ranges like this. The coiled was
the smooth top.
Yeah. The coiled was my coils didn't remove.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So real old style.
Yeah, and it was a drag when stuff boiled over onto the coils. It was bad.
Yeah, hard to lift and clean underneath it. With the smooth top, there's ceramic glass, and you have the heating elements underneath, so they look great.
And it's magical, like when they start to glow
it
underneath,
looks cool.
And then they go down, and it comes up,
So they clean off much easier than the coils, but they can easily be scratched if you're dragging cookware on top of it.
Right.
And
there's kind of a lot of problems with this, too. If you have a pot of water and it boils over,
right,
it goes all over the stove. So the whole kitchen range is now flooded with water, which is a drag.
Nice water and electric.
Yes. And you have to be very careful on what you use to clean it.
Well, they're saying that also that you don't want to boil anything dry. So if you have a pot on there and there's not moisture in the pot and it boils dry, it can lock onto the surface in some cases. Which is wild. And another one of the complaints was uneven cooking. I also read that you have to be careful with pressure canning if you're using a smooth top cooktop because of the uneven temperatures.
Do you love saying smooth top cooktop?
Yes. So 4 things that spoil food are enzymes, yeast, mold, and bacteria. And mold, yeast, and enzymes are destroyed at the boiling point of water, so like 212 degrees Fahrenheit, unless you're in Denver, then it's 202. But the bacteria that causes botulism is common in soil and water, honey, and it can only be destroyed at these higher temperatures for a long cooking period, and it has to be consistent, like at around 250 degrees. So you have to actually read your manual to see if it's recommended for pressure canning, which is pretty interesting. And Presto, they make the Presto pressure cookers.
Yes.
They're recommending always use, if you're using elements, so electric elements, cooktop, use the largest element and then make sure the canner doesn't extend more than an inch past the element so that you're getting the proper heat.
Right.
And then it's pretty interesting. So I'm reading a little bit about canning since I got off on a tangent. And the National Center for Home Food Preservation says to be wary of any canning recipes prior to 1994.
Why?
They found that they're health risks. A lot of these old, so people collect these old cookbooks, but they say you really shouldn't be collecting the canning old cookbooks.
Or at least you could collect them, but don't make them.
Right. So with these smooth top cooktops, they have built-in sensors. They let you know that the surface is still hot. So you've got this warning light on your control panel.
Well, because they stay hot a long time after you turn off the burners.
Right, and you can't tell because they're just perfectly smooth. A lot of them are just jet black, and so it's hard to tell.
And my cat, who likes to jump onto the smooth top cooktop.
Oh, terrible. Yeah,
he doesn't understand that that's still hot. So I have to have covers.
Doesn't understand the warning light?
No, he does not. And he doesn't understand what no means either. But I have to have covers to go over the burners.
Yeah, very smart. Most of these cooktops work better with flat bottom cookware because they're going to absorb the heat better. And you have to be careful with cast iron cookware. It can get so hot that the sensors will shut down the cooktop while you're cooking.
Interesting.
And then with an electric range, the electric ovens are rated very high. Bakers love them because they're very consistent compared to gas.
Right.
If you're purchasing an electric range, kind of the key thing is to look at your service panel and see whether you have a 40 amp or 50 amp breaker.
Because that makes a big difference.
Right, and you want to match this to what you're purchasing. So you've got 240 volts, you've got 40 or 50 amps, and the next thing you're going to look at is the receptacle on your wall. So pull out the old range, pull out the power cord, and it's either going to have 3 slots or 3 prongs or 4 prongs. New construction, if you remodel your home, a 4-wire receptacle is required, so they've added a ground wire now. So the old 3-wire, all of the old ranges, you had 2 hot wires, so 2 120-volt lines and 1 neutral line. And now what they're doing is they're adding a ground wire, and this grounding strap is going to prevent the outside metal body of the range from being a shock hazard.
That's nice.
Right? Yeah, it's great. But the problem is if you purchase, so when you purchase your range, it's probably not going to come with a power cord.
I never knew that.
Right. And I don't think any do. So you need to purchase a power cord. So you can either reuse your old one or you can purchase a new one, and you need to know what your receptacle is. Most manufacturers are going to allow you in an existing home to use either a 3-prong or a 4-prong. And so you're just going to have to wire it according to what you have at your house.
Correctly, hopefully.
So with the 3-wire, you have 2 hot wires. The 1 neutral wire is generally in the middle. If they're not color coded, your neutral wire is going to be a ribbed wire. The hot wires are going to be smooth. And then check your diagram or manual. With a 4-wire, you have this extra ground wire, and what you're going to have to do is there's going to be a grounding strap that you either need to cut and remove part of it or remove the whole thing when you're connecting your ground wire. If you're a very serious cook or a baker, you can get a dual fuel range.
No way.
So this has a gas cooktop with an electric oven.
So the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. So you get the even uniform heat of your cooktop and that electric oven. And pastry chefs were saying that these dual fuel really make a perfect eclair. You can also get induction cooktops. So when you're cooking with induction, you need iron in your cookware. So if you have a pot that a magnet will stick to, you can use it on an induction cooktop.
Otherwise, it's not going to do anything?
It doesn't do a thing, man, because it's wild. So you've got this magnetic field that it's generating, and when a magnetic pan is put on top of the cooktop, the iron molecules vibrate 20,000 to 50,000 times a second, and just these molecules vibrating create enough friction to generate heat. Is it crazy? And only the area that's in contact with the stovetop gets hot. So it's the pan cooking the food rather than the cooktop.
Wow.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's space age.
They say that it boils water 50% faster and is much more energy efficient than other cookware, although it's much more expensive, the original purchase price. And then some make a very loud humming sound while they're on because of this magnetic field. It also interferes with some digital thermometers.
That's a bummer.
And then there's some research going on to see if it affects people with pacemakers. But other than that, it's super cool. Thermador has a cooktop with 48 3-inch coils under the cooktop, and it automatically detects the size and placement of the cookware. So any size pot, and you can go up to a 13-inch by 21-inch pan, so you can do stuff like grilled cheese.
Wow.
and then if something spills, it automatically shuts off and sounds an alarm.
Over the hum?
Thermador's going to hate this podcast.
If you're purchasing a new kitchen range, what kind of features are you looking for?
So a lot of the pros were saying look for a variety of burner sizes from small to large to fit different size cookware. And then the 5-burner styles were very popular. And also the new ones with grillers, like on the side or in the center of the burners.
My aunt just bought a new kitchen range, and that looks super cool.
Yeah, it looks interesting. And then power to boil water fast. So for gas, they're suggesting over 15,000 BTUs. For electric, 3,200 watts or higher. And then have a simmer setting if you're doing a lot of different cooking. The pros are saying 5,000 BTUs for gas or less, 1,200 watts for electric or less, and this is for your delicate recipes. Have a lot of rack positions in the oven. If you're doing a lot of parties, they say that these warming drawers are really good. If you're, baking in stages or cooking in stages, it keeps your food warm. Built-in temperature probes inside the oven, they say are very good. And then extra stove lighting. It's funny how a lot of people were really raving that, they said, hey, we got this new stove and it has extra bright lighting inside the oven, and it's just great.
You can see what's happening.
Yeah, a baking drawer, so added to the main oven, so you have multiple cooking temperatures, you can do different items. Dehydration settings, so if you're into, if you're into canning, if you're into dehydrating fruits and vegetables, this has a special setting where it's 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and it has an air circulator. And so this is for, drying out foods.
That's crazy.
Delayed start, so pre-programmed cook times and temperatures. And then some of these ovens now are running off an app or a smart device. so you can check on your oven while you're watching TV. You don't have to get up. But the National Fire Protection Association hates this feature because, they're scared that people are going to be turning on their ovens while they're not at home.
Right.
Which, could be
Or falling asleep.
Right. Infrared cooking, so some of them have faster cooking times, and with many meats, it sears them better and it retains more moisture. And then for gas cooktops, look at anything that's marked easy to clean burners.
Yeah.
They say they're starting to do a much better job with the burners themselves. And then for oven size, for 1 to 2 people, they're suggesting an oven 2 to 3 cubic feet. 3 to 4 people in your family, 3 to 4 cubic feet. And then for 4 or more, 4, 5, and larger. You can get a convection oven. Sometimes it's called fan assist or a fan oven, and this uses a fan inside the oven, and it's circulating the hot air, so you get very even heat distribution and faster cooking times. You can also get something that says easy clean surface or easy clean settings for your oven. So LG, there's a couple of companies that have these special enamel coatings that all they require to clean the inside. So if you have a bunch of spills inside your oven, you mist it down with water, you hit this easy clean cycle, and it turns it into steam, and it helps release those spills.
Oh, that's
And they
crazy.
say it only takes like 20 minutes, so you don't have any chemicals.
Wow.
You just wipe it out.
I know my mom's old oven.
Right.
It used to take hours.
Oh,
to
brutal.
run
Sometimes they were kind
Yeah.
of porous,
Yeah.
like those old self-cleaning surfaces. And then with self-cleaning ovens have this setting, so it goes through a cycle of high heat. So it's like 900 to 1,000 degrees, just amazing. And it turns all your spills into ash that you can wipe out. But the key thing is to look at the details of the oven, because some of these require additional chemicals.
Right, you need to follow the instructions
Right,
for
so-
the chemical and for the oven itself.
Right, and some don't require chemicals, so it's nice to be able to make that decision. Your door is going to lock during the process so no one can open it while it's that hot. It has extra insulation, so it's protecting the cabinets that are sitting next to it. And then what's interesting is, though, I was doing some research, and they say that large amounts of charred food and these baked-on spills in your oven can actually create carbon monoxide during the cycle. So they say that it's important that you have the vent on or you have your windows open. If you have birds, I guess it can produce fumes that are dangerous to birds. So that's kind of interesting. If you're looking for a natural oven cleaner, one of the highest rated was a 1/4 cup of liquid dish soap, a 1/2 cup of baking soda, a 1/4 cup of hydrogen peroxide, and the zest of 1 lemon. And add that to a tablespoon of vinegar. You mix this all up, you smooth it over your racks, your oven surfaces, and you let it set for 4 hours. Then they say rinse it off with a damp sponge. And
Sure, that smells nice.
yeah, a lot of people said it works really well. If you're looking for a top-rated oven cleaner, Easy Off Fume-Free, Citrus Safe Oven Cleaner, Astonish Oven Cleaner, and Mr. Muscle Oven and Grill were all rated very high. For your glass ceramic cooktops, the key is regular cleaning. So
Yeah.
most of the manufacturers are saying clean your cooktop before you cook and then clean it off afterwards.
Right.
And it's going to maintain its look much better. Never use ammonia or bleach, nothing abrasive. But what's wild is most manufacturers recommend for anything spilled and kind of hardened on your surface is to use a single-edge razor blade.
You're kidding.
For anything burnt on there. And they say that is the best thing to use, which I would have thought that the potential for scratching. So a brand new single-edge razor blade, go after anything burnt on, and then a couple of the top-rated cleaners, Ceramabrite. So it's C-E-R-A-M-A. Second word is B-R-Y-T-E. Highly rated. In fact, it's the only cleaner that GE recommends for their cooktops. Carbona, so it's C-A-R-B-O-N-A. Ceramic cooktop cleaner, was approved by Schott Saran. So this is one of the largest ceramic cooktop manufacturers. A Fresh cooktop cleaner and Wyman glass cooktop cleaner were the top rated.
What are some top-rated kitchen ranges?
So LG, Samsung, KitchenAid, Frigidaire, Kenmore, the GE Cafe, a lot of rave reviews, and then Bosch and Thermador.
Let's wrap it up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our book, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.
Tap